All right, November 11th, 2020. We weren't here last week. We're here this week. We have 2 weeks of shit to talk about. Mike, How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, John?
Good. What did you think of this weekend, man? What did you think of the last 2 weeks of basically football? I mean, there's nothing else on. There's some MLB like awards and stuff. We got an NBA start date. Okay.
Yeah, thank God that's going to be back because there's got to be something other than football, I feel like.
And it's December 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not bad. And then
they're going to be really tired, but
oh yeah,
basketball. You know what? I think this is going to be worse. This is going to be a lot worse than the bubble.
You think so?
I think so. They're not doing a bubble, are they?
They're not. They're playing in the arenas, and depending on where,
they'll do if stuff's not better by the time the playoffs roll around, they'll probably do another bubble.
Yeah. I mean, and they have to have that plan B, just like the NFL. They should have that plan B.
Yep.
And speaking of which, the last 2 weeks of NFL football, what did you think?
I mean, there's been a lot. I mean, mid-season, the fucking trade deadline was dead. Nothing happened. The biggest thing that happened was probably the Titans getting Desmond King from the Chargers for a 6th-round pick. This guy was an all-pro 2 years ago, and they gave him away for nothing. The Titans got an all-pro corner for a 6th-round pick.
It's a joke.
What are they doing? What are the
And for some reason, I don't know if this is just me, but the trade deadline should not have been on the day it was. And I know it's historically on a Tuesday. I know it's always in the beginning of November. But on a day, it was on last Tuesday, Election Day, on a day where, you're in everyone's focused on politics, especially this year and especially where we're at now. I didn't like that. I really didn't. And
I mean,
I feel like everyone else, and you've been seeing with the sports leagues lately, everyone's focused on voting. Everyone's focused on politics. Everyone's focused on Trump and Biden. Like, it wasn't and I feel like the Eagles would have done something had Ertz or Deshaun Jackson didn't get hurt.
Of course they didn't. Why would they?
Yeah. And I think, and Zach Ertz would not be in this city right now if he didn't get traded. If he didn't get hurt. And it's just a joke. Like, it's such a joke. Like, you need you clearly need offensive line help.
You
clearly need linebacking help. And you don't do shit.
It's just Howie Roseman. He can never just pull the trigger on a move that will help the team. Like, you had to trade Ertz.
Oh, yeah.
If he was healthy, I think he probably would have been traded, but
Ertz would have been gone if he was healthy. Excuse me. Deshaun Jackson would have been gone if he was healthy. And to be honest with you, no one does. He's a stiff.
Yeah.
But you know what, Mike? The biggest thing this team needs is an offensive line. That's the biggest fucking thing they need, and a fucking training staff. And we've been saying that for the last 3 years, ever since the Super Bowl year. We've been saying they need an offensive line and they need a training staff. And now, I mean, the training staff's a little crazy, but we definitely needed an offensive line. And now, look who you have.
You have no depth, anywhere. You have no depth. The starters are barely starters. They wouldn't be starters if everybody was healthy. And I don't understand how you look at this roster. This team is going to make the playoffs by default. They're going to host a playoff game,
which is a crime.
You look at this roster and you tell me that it's more than just
it's a crime.
You tell me that you're confident with this roster.
Absolutely not. I don't think. You know what, Mike? A couple weeks ago, I'm like, maybe they might do something. Maybe if they match up with the Bears. Look at what the Bears done. The Bears haven't done shit.
I don't know how the Bears have 5 wins.
I mean, they're horrible. But
they lost to Tennessee.
They lost to Tennessee. But you look at how the Eagles have played the last 2 weeks. Like I saw like this type of game coming last Sunday. Like I saw like I predicted 27-9 and I was almost right. It was 23-9. But oh my god, like Mike, I was in that stadium. It was cold as shit and I was bored. I was literally fucking bored. I was just happy to be there considering I was at a sporting event.
Yeah.
For the first time in 10 months. But if it was a normal year, I would have, and I spent $200 on that game, I would have just hit my head on the wall. Like, I spent $200. I mean, and granted, first time going to a sporting event in 10 months, I was excited. It felt somewhat normal. It was nice. But, oh my God.
It wasn't a good welcoming back to the league.
It's nice to see him win. It's always nice to go to a game and you see your team win, and you see some nice stuff. Like
you wish they gave you a little bit of confidence going forward.
But no, I just wish I saw a good game. I wish I saw some stuff that I would have been like, oh shit, I was at that game. Like that's why you do
for any reason.
You go to an NFL game, yeah. You go to an NFL game or any sporting event for that matter, and you're like, oh yeah, I want to go see something cool. I want to tell my grandkids or whatever I was at that game. That's not the fucking case for this. The only thing I remember from this is it was during COVID, and I saw Ben DiNucci. Ben fucking DiNucci. And who did the Cowboys? And he didn't even play for Dallas this past week. Who do they have? What was the
Garrett Gilbert, something like that? I don't even know.
Tell you what, Gilbert. He wasn't that bad. He wasn't that bad for that.
No, considering it was the Steelers, he looked good. I think you got to roll with him now.
I think the Steelers, I don't know what's gotten into them, but I
feel like every game's close.
And I think that's vintage Pittsburgh, and it's probably because they have a good defense. Yeah. But there's something.
Ben got put on the COVID list, so they're. Yeah. Who do they play?
This
week? Who do they play this week?
Ooh, I don't know.
They play the Bengals, so they might. Yeah. Who are they going to start at quarterback? Josh Dobbs, Shua Dobbs.
Yeah, should it matter?
No, Ben throws the ball 2 yards down the field every play.
Yeah, no, I think they shouldn't. The offensive game plan shouldn't change for them. But anyway, there's something. I feel like there's something fraud about Pittsburgh and Baltimore this year. Now, granted, they're really good football teams, but I feel like there's something they're not. I don't see them as Super Bowl teams. I see them maybe as AFC Championship teams.
I don't think anybody's getting past it. I think the Chiefs are easily
but even the
no question the best team in football. Even the Chiefs, not a question.
I mean, yeah, no, I don't disagree. But even the Chiefs, I feel like they're mortal. Considering they lost to the Raiders, the Vegas Raiders.
Oakland's beating some good teams.
You mean the Vegas?
Fuck.
But no, yeah. Considering they lost to the Raiders, considering they almost lost to the Carolina.
I'm telling you, Carolina is not that bad. Teddy Bridgewater is capable quarterback. They've got weapons outside. And then now they got McCaffrey back, even though he's probably not going to play this week. But Mike Davis is filled in well. McCaffrey coming back, you take that offense, it puts them onto an entire another level because that's a guy that runs between the tackles, outside, north, south, east, west, and can catch the ball better than most receivers. He's probably the most explosive offensive weapon in the NFL. And
considering that he was hurt last week and still did what he did, that's insane. And that just shows you the type of skill that guy has. And I think it's smart. They did bring him back a little premature, but that just shows you how good Christian McCaffrey is.
Yeah.
So it's going to be good that he's going to take this. He's going to be out this week, but then going forward,
to close out the season,
so much better. Mm-hmm. And do you think they could be a wild card team?
Probably. Probably not. because the NFC West is just too loaded.
Yeah. I mean, but here's the thing: like, even
they're still competitive. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but
but I mean,
they're in almost every game.
That division, I think I learned the most about the NFC South this week, and I think everyone else did this past week, than any other week so far this season, because you saw what the Saints did on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, Michael Thomas was hardly even involved.
It was insane.
They just embarrassed the Bucs.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, but it was crazy. So yeah, I mean, that team. I mean, you learned a lot about Carroll.
I learned a lot about both teams.
I think you did, and the Saints. I mean, the Saints defense. Oh my God, they made Brady look horrible. Antonio Brown. I feel like Brady was trying to force the ball to Antonio Brown way too much.
There's too many mouths to feed on that offense now. I feel like.
Yeah, and
adding on. Okay, if Antonio Brown can tone down his selfish stuff that we've seen in the past, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gronk and Ronald Jones and all of the people on that offense don't get a big head, then I think it could work still. But because Brady's a guy you can throw to anybody else. You throw everybody out there.
He can work with anybody, and that's probably one of the great things about him coming over from New England, because he's used to having a Chris Hogan or a Deion Lewis or a James White. He's used to that. He's used to many different receivers. Randy Moss. He's used to. I mean, and that's the thing. Antonio Brown's still learning that offense.
Yeah. He's been on the roster for a week.
It's not. I mean, he was just kind of thrown in the fire, and that's obviously not a reason why they lost in that fashion. No. But I think the Saints are far and away the best team in that division. I think and the fact that
I think they'll still win that division.
Yeah, and also too the fact that they use a gadget guy like Taysom Hill better than anybody. I feel like teams are trying to recreate that. We're seeing with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I don't think anybody's going to do that as well as Sean Payton and the Saints.
The Saints were wide open all night. They're no coverage at all.
None.
It was ridiculous. None. He schemes with people open so well.
None. And it's crazy, man. It's just crazy to see how efficient that offense is.
Yeah.
And they got Michael Thomas back. They have Kamara. They have Emmanuel Sanders back. They have Hill.
Breeze isn't it, obviously not in his prime anymore, but I think he's still capable of winning.
Even if, God forbid, Drew Brees goes down with an injury, you're going to throw Taysom Hill in there to play quarterback, and I think that might be
famous Jameis
or Jameis. Yeah, I'd rather have Taysom Hill, but that's just
the W.
So, yeah, man, that was just crazy watching this week, and then I think another divisional game that I kind of caught my eye a little bit. It obviously didn't tell us anything new about either of these teams. Was the football team and the Giants. But I'm going to say this. I think what I took out of that game, Joe Judge
is a good coach.
Is there to stay. I don't know. There's something.
They hardly have any talent on that roster.
But
there's not much to work with there. Even if, they haven't been playing great football, but I don't think you can, I think the fact that they were in the game with the Bucs. They did they sweep Washington already?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
could have beat us.
Yeah. So I think they have been playing competitive. Might not be winning football because there's not people that'll win you games on that roster. I think Daniel Jones is not the answer at all.
No.
I don't think there's any question about that anymore.
But I feel like they can work with him, though. That's the thing, and they're showing that. I don't think, and obviously, if I were them,
he's Eli.
I mean,
he's he's worse than Eli, probably.
I mean, personally, if I were them, I would have looked at a couple years ago, and I would have just been you see this guy Lawrence. We knew 2 years ago. We knew in 2018 when Eli's career was winding down, even into last year. If Eli came in, he said, "All right, I'm going to play 19 and then retire in 20." All right, or play 19 and 20 or whatever. You could have easily just threw a quarterback in there. Got a draft pick. You knew because everyone knew at the beginning of last year that the 2021 draft was going to be the biggest draft for a quarterbacks, and that was going to be Lawrence. Okay,
there's like a number of guys behind him. Even it's going to be a really good quarterback class, but it's headlined by Lawrence, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, and then the Alabama quarterback. You have Ian Book for Notre Dame. Fields. BYU quarterback.
Trey Lance.
Yeah, but anyway. I mean, and plus, if you're Lawrence right now, if it's the Giants and the Jets, you don't want the Giants. And we talked about this in the last couple podcasts. But I think Daniel Jones can work with them. I think if you give the Giants a couple skilled players and a defense, you get Saquon back, you might have a team. You got a coach. You might have a team.
Is their offensive line? How did they hold up against Washington?
All right. Considering, they were able to, they created some holes. I think Wayne Gallman had a touchdown. And that's the thing. They've been running the ball pretty good. It seems like, I don't know the exact stats, but by the eye test, it seems like they've been running the ball pretty good.
Yeah, but nobody's going to, you can't ask Wayne Gallman to be safe.
Oh, absolutely not. But just considering, without having Saquon and without, having that elite runner plus that offensive line, if you can get a decent production out of Gallman, decent production out of Lewis, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
So, I really liked, to be honest, I hate to say this, I think that team is going to beat the Eagles this week. I think, to be honest with you, I think they're pissed off about what happened on the Thursday night game here. I think they're pissed off about how they've been playing the entire year.
They got a chip on their shoulder.
Absolutely. And I think Joe Judge creates that chip. And by seeing what they've been able to do, Mike, they were in a game with Pittsburgh. They were in week 1. They were in a game for a point in that game. They were in it. And then obviously the Steelers pulled away.
Yeah.
But there's something about the Giants that I think is going to be very, I think they have a lot to look up at. And I don't think we were going to say that at the beginning of this year. We thought that, okay, Daniel Jones is going to be shit. Saquon's going to be their only bright spot. They're wasting him. Their defense sucks. They really have no weapons on the outside.
I thought the Giants actually had a pretty good chance of being, decent this year.
It would be a blessing if they were an 8-win team. But, obviously that's not happening even with this, surprise in that, they're playing with a fire under their shoulder. They're always in these games. And I think and they're getting as much as they can ask for out of Daniel Jones and out of a Saquon-less offense, And it was big that they got Shepard back.
Yeah. I really like Sterling Shepard as a player. I think he's pretty good.
He was always a good number 2.
He would be a good solid number 2. He's not built to be number 1, but if they can, I think everybody's expecting them to take the tackle Penei Sewell or whatever his name is with their first pick. But if they can get someone like Jamar Chase, get Daniel Jones, another weapon, they could be pretty good.
They need a receiver.
Has pieces, I think.
They need a receiver, and I think, and you know what? I don't think Saquon's going to be as elite as he was in his rookie year, but I think he's still going to be an effective running back. I
hope he hasn't peaked yet.
I think he's regressed. And I don't think he's going to continue to regress, but I think he's going to start to level out in being a productive running back. I think he needs to watch with the hurdles. He just needs to make plays with his feet, obviously. Hey, that's what running backs do. But I think he needs to just kind of simplify his running style a little bit, Not
make it so aggressive.
Yeah.
So,
he tried to do everything.
On the body.
He tried to do everything. And I think that kind of took a toll. Obviously he was a good running back, but that guy takes away for injuries.
He touches the ball a lot, and he's bound to get some bumps.
But considering where that offense has had, or what that offense has had the last 2 years, he's going to get the ball. He's going to be the play guy.
He'll still be the guy when he comes back.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he'll be the guy for his career there.
So I don't know. The Eagles got healthy this week, which is good. You're going to get Miles Sanders back. I think you're getting Lane back. I don't know. I mean, they're looking healthy. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I'm not hip on this. I mean, usually when you see a Giants matchup, you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. Like 2 weeks ago, we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna beat the shit out of this team, and then we almost lose, and we have to rely on Carson Wentz having a game-winning drive. You almost lose to fucking. I mean, you could have lost. I mean, you played like shit to a team that's gonna win, not gonna win a game in Dallas. I mean, I shouldn't say that because
I feel like if that was pretty much like any other team in the NFL, we would have lost.
I agree.
We turned the ball over 4 times and won by 2 scores.
And the sad part is, this team can be way better than that. You know that they can be way better.
Yeah, we've seen it from Wentz. I don't know what's going on. This year, he's never done something like this before. This is completely out of left field, turning the ball over 9,000 times.
No.
He fumbles a lot, but he's always fumbled, but he doesn't throw picks like this. And they're bad picks.
They're bad picks. I mean, these are throws that he can easily just doink into the sideline and, it's
the same story every week.
It is, and it's despicable. There's no other way to say it. I mean, it's just despicable, and it's one of those things where you have to, and it all falls back, I think, on the offensive line and the play calling. But at the same time, Carson's
got to get some of the blame.
Oh, he has to get. I think he gets at least 50% of the blame.
Yeah, I think most of it falls on him.
But at the same time, who calls the plays? Who crafts the game plan? You're not going to have a good pass. You're not going to have good pass protection. You might not be able to run the ball. Although, when they were running the ball with Boston Scott a couple weeks ago, it worked pretty good.
Do we ever run a slant?
I think I know the Jalen Reagor touchdown was a short pass. But
I feel like I've never seen an Eagles receiver just run a slant.
No.
It's always a screen, or you sit in the middle, or it's an out route. Those are our short passing routes.
And that's what they need to start doing. They need, that Wentz isn't going to have zero time to throw the football. Just tell them to get the ball out quick. And hey, if it's not there, you got to figure it out. You throw it
around like a chicken with your head cut off.
But if you see something there, take it. I mean, it's just. And I feel like if you put 2017 Carson Wentz in this offense, I mean, it would be a little different, but it would cause for more injury. And I feel like that's what he's afraid of. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think, this team needs a jolt. I mean, and I think we're going to get that jolt and have Miles Sanders back.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And if you get Lane Johnson back.
He's no question our best player on offense, I think.
I think Travis Fulgham, too. I think him and Travis Fulgham are 2 best players on offense.
Fulgham's really been showing out.
I think if you
is he established as a good receiver yet, or does he need a couple more games? He's leads the NFL in receiving yards since he started.
I'm writing him in as a good receiver. I'm writing him in. Because
you think he's a good elite receiver,
and I think we can all tell without Zach Ertz, it opens the door for him. It opens the door for Greg. It opens the door for Jalen Reagor. I think
he should get a lot of targets.
I think you can work with those 3 personally. I think with those 3 guys, with a good offensive line and Sanders, you can work with that. And I think this is a much different football team. I think it's a better football team. I think it's a better football team than throwing out.
Yeah, Fulgham is better than Alshon's been in the past year or 2.
Oh, absolutely. I think Fulgham's better than Deshaun Jackson.
Greg Ward's been better than Deshaun Jackson has been since he came back to the Eagles.
Yeah, I think, and if you throw Goddard in there, you throw throw a tight end, and then Miles Sanders.
That's a solid offense.
That's a good. I think that's a better offense than what you've had. And I think that's a much better football team.
It's just the O-line. It's all Wentz in the O-line. It's been that. That's why you make a move at the trade deadline.
And that's
to get some help.
That's the thing with GMs in this goddamn city, man. They and I feel like they try, but like you need to get the job done at the end of the day. Like the Phillies, for the last 3 years, they've had all the opportunities to get good quality bullpen arms. You had Zach Britton on the market. You had Aroldis Chapman at one point. You had Adam Ottavino. You had Shane Green. You had Mark Melancon. You had Will Harris. I could go on and on and on and on.
I know one of those guys.
Not one.
I know one.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, Chapman.
But not one of those guys was signed. And it's a joke. And then, I mean, I'm glad Klentak left. But anyway, I mean, that's just – I mean, it's just I feel like, you know, we all can tell there's something that they need. There's something. They need offensive line help.
Everybody knows what they need to do except them.
I think – and I think, you know, with the offensive line – you know, I mean, to be honest, I think that's more pressing than the linebacker.
Yeah, the O-line is number one priority.
But like,
O-line is number one priority.
You need to move the football. You're looking horrible out there by bad teams. Teams are making you look. I mean, bad teams are looking good. Like the Cowboys in the first half.
The Cowboys defense looked like they were going to like hold us to like 10 points.
Exactly, and. I just don't understand it. I mean, Doug Peterson, I feel like can be a very good football coach, but at the same time, he could be awful. And I feel like there's a common trend with the Eagles since the Super Bowl. They like to get started late. They like to win games late. They like to get they like to win games late in the season so they can get in the playoffs. And you know, it's just I mean, this is where
we've been a second half team for like the past 2-3 years.
And
every game.
And then just but wait until like maybe Dallas gets healthy and better, or the Giants get healthy and better, or Washington gets healthy and better, and they can contend with that.
Yeah.
Then you're fucked. Then those early in season games are going to matter. Then the first half is going to matter in those games. Like it's just ugh.
I hate that we're going to make the playoffs. I don't want to see this team play a playoff game.
And now since the play and now going off that we didn't get anybody at the trade deadline, what is there to be excited about?
Yeah,
you look at the rest of the schedule, you have the Giants, kind of winnable game. All right, Cleveland next week, all right, winnable game. But then you got Seattle. Then
shitstorm of a blowout.
And then you look at the rest of the schedule. You have another game with the Saints. You have another game with the Cowboys. Well, I mean, the Cowboys are probably going to win. And then you have a game with the football team. Then you have a game in Green Bay. Like about those non-divisional games, only one I'm really confident about is that's Cleveland. But let's say, all right, if they win those,
even Cleveland's not a gimme.
It's not going to be a walk in the park. And considering the division that they play in and the teams that they play, I mean, what's there to be excited about?
Nothing. This team doesn't even they hardly even make splash plays during the game.
Yeah, we're going to go to the playoffs.
Boring. Miles Sanders is a big play, dude, but when he's out, they're so boring.
We're going to go to the playoffs, and it's just going to be like, we're here. Oh, we're here again. 9-7.
And then we're gone.
We're not going to be 9-7. We're not going to have a winning record, and we're going to host a playoff game against the Rams or I don't know, maybe Arizona. That's another non-conference team we're going to play. Or non-divisional team.
God, they're gonna. Yeah, we're in for a rough second half of the year.
I mean, you look at the last 2 years, Mike, since the Super Bowl. These teams, you got to do something at the end of the season. And I'm not saying, obviously anything can happen. You got healthier this week. You're playing a couple bad, you're going to play a bad team. Mm-hmm. A winnable game, I should say. Next week's a winnable game. Maybe let's see what happens against Seattle. But by the looks of it, it looks like it's going to be it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Always.
And you got that splash 3 years ago, but
I
you want to sustain that.
Nah, I think it was a fluke.
I don't know. I mean, considering they made the playoffs the last 2 years, I don't know. And they won one playoff game. Well, like, you look at the talent. You look at the talent, though. Like, there's some talent here. There's some stuff. There's some good.
I really don't like Doug Peterson.
And I think, and that's obviously the common denominator.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man.
The Super Bowl year, he was awesome, but
great.
He hasn't been good since. He hasn't been that good, at least.
And as a result of that, the team got momentum. They showed how good they can be. But, I mean, I don't know if you're going to get that again.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I see this team winning their next Super Bowl or winning another or going far is if they get hot late or if they get hot at a point in the season or if they run the table or some shit.
I don't see that happening.
But no, I mean, are you kidding me? No.
Yeah, there's no chance. There's not much. There's not much to look forward to in any game that they play.
No.
I never go into a game like excited anymore.
No. I think your best game this year was probably the 49ers.
I didn't even watch that game.
I mean, it was just, okay, great, they won.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got the Giants game, which is like, and the Cowboy game.
Back-to-back, just shitty wins.
But if they went out and they beat Pittsburgh, if they went out and beat Baltimore, then that's something to hang your hat on. And that could have been that could have been done. I think they could have beat one of those two teams, personally. And that just shows you how good this team can be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
they can play with, anybody. I think they could play with anybody in the league, but they're not going to. I don't think they'll close out.
You go into these games and you think, oh yeah, they're going to get their shit kicked in, and then they go out and okay, I mean, they made it a close game, but. And then they go out and they play the Giants or the Cowboys, and they
should kill, and it's still close.
Yeah. I mean, it's just. I guess
it's such a weird. They're so hard to describe, even.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Anyway, what else did you kind of take from these last couple weeks of the NFL?
Well, I mean, I've been watching the. Keeping track of the MVP race and stuff, and Russ. I think the top two are obviously still Russ and Mahomes, but Russell Wilson's hasn't been playing the best, up to his standards, at least in the past couple games.
Especially this week when
Buffalo
horrible.
Turned the ball over a lot, and I think he ended up losing them that game. Actually,
yeah, they did. He did. And their defense is not anything to write home about.
No.
So I don't
know. That's the only thing that would keep them from going to the Super Bowl, I think, was the defense.
I agree.
They got probably the best wide receiver duo in the NFL with DK and Lockett.
Yeah.
And then Russell Wilson's probably, I think he's the second best quarterback in the NFL, but a lot of people think he's the first. Running game been without Carson, but when Carson's there, he's good.
Yeah.
I think the O-line's gotten better.
Yeah.
Russ has got a lot of time to throw deep balls.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Kyler's in that conversation now.
Yeah, I think Kyler is really good. I think
How about the Dolphins?
Yeah. I mean,
5-3.
Crazy. I got to take a quick break. Just hold on 1 second.
Okay, I'll entertain everybody. I'll take this time to talk about how I beat John in fantasy this week. I was projected to beat him by a lot more, but I don't know what it is. Every time I play him, he puts out these ridiculous lineups and just keeps it competitive. Jerry Jeudy, 120 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Howard scored.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was talking about how our fantasy matchup.
Oh, Jesus. You got a good 27 points out of Critty in 1 week that you needed.
Yeah.
But I started the New Orleans defense. I had the choice between Denver or New Orleans. And Denver had a better matchup, but going into that game, you think, oh, yeah, with Antonio Brown, with Gronk, with Brady, it's not going to be great, but look what turned out to be.
How many points did they have? How many points did New Orleans have?
They were in the 20s, I think. They were in the 20s. And that would have put me over the edge. I would have beat you.
I only beat you by like 2.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Crazy. Anyway, I think with the MVP race, I think, Patrick Mahomes, I don't know, man. I think you look through up until 2 weeks ago, you're like, oh, Ross.
Mm-hmm.
But then the last couple of weeks, he hasn't looked good.
And Mahomes has looked really good.
Exactly. But, I mean, I don't know, man. I think
it's really close.
Yeah. I don't think it's. I mean, Lamar, I think, is taking a step back, and I think we all.
Yeah, no, Lamar's not even. Lamar hasn't even had like that pop game yet, has he? Like, no. I don't think he's gone off against anybody yet.
No, he has not looked good. He has not looked.
They're winning though, so that's such a good roster. It's not just Lamar. It is not just Lamar.
No,
that defense is sick.
Calais Campbell's really ridiculous. They got Ngakoue. They got a good team.
Secondary is really good.
And I think they might pull away there. Because
you think Baltimore's going to win the division?
Yeah.
I
mean, if they win that game in Heinz Field, whenever they play Pittsburgh again, they'll be fine. They got it. And I think the Steelers are going to start to crumble down. Because I just don't think they're that good. I mean, if you have a guy named Gilbert tear you up and make it a close game, that's a problem.
Honestly, yeah, that game, they won, but
it's not good.
They didn't look good.
No, not at all.
Not up to that was definitely they won, but they didn't win in the way that you would think they were going to.
No, absolutely.
I thought they were going to completely and utterly destroy them.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to lose for a little bit. They were down big for a while.
No, absolutely not. So I don't know. Any other takeaways from the NFL that you have?
Dalvin Cook's the best running back in football.
Oh my God, he's insane. He's insane.
He got like 500 total yards in his last
2 weeks ago. He tore up Green Bay for 4 touchdowns. This past week, he goes off against Detroit
for 250 and 2 touchdowns.
How good can you get? How much better can you get?
Like,
and Kirk Cousins is dog shit this year.
Yeah, he has not been good.
And
Justin Jefferson's good. Dalvin Cook's been good.
But I think that offense is run heavy now. I think they're getting to a point where they're like Tennessee. They're run heavy, and they should be.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook, he's probably the best running back in football.
I don't disagree. I do not disagree
I think it's him, Henry, and McCaffrey are kind of like interchangeable 1 through 3.
Yeah.
And then you got like Kamara, I guess, those are the top 4, and I feel like you could put those in a lot of orders.
Yeah. Do you think you can probably put? I think maybe by the end of the year. What do you think about Darrell Henderson
from the Rams?
Yeah.
What about?
Do you think he sees like? Do you think he could probably eke his way maybe to the top 20, top 15?
That backfield's been weird all year. Like they kind of, I guess they're rolling with Henderson now, right?
Yeah,
Malcolm
and
Brown
I think
got some touches and Cam Akers. I don't know where he went, but
I think he's hurt.
But yeah, I mean, Darrell Henderson's is all right.
Yeah.
They're a passing team though.
They are a passing team. They're a system team. System team. All right. Let's talk about college football. Let's talk about what we saw.
Your boys.
Because I know you watched it. You watched the game.
I did.
I greatly watched the game. I'm fucking happy. I'm so happy.
Congratulations.
I'm going to enjoy this while it lasts because Notre Dame doesn't win those games. They don't. In the last 20 years, they don't win those games. They haven't won a big bowl game since they haven't won a big bowl game in 25 years. They haven't won New Year's Six in 25 years. They've been in it. They've been in the conversation. And I feel like we're at the point now, and I've been a Notre Dame fan all my life. I've been watching them. I've been following them. Mm-hmm. I haven't been as crazy about them. I've obviously kind of solidified, okay, Phillies and Eagles are my number 1 and 2 teams. Notre Dame football is kind of an extra. I work on Saturdays now, so I don't get to see every game, but I follow and I still can't stay, in tune. But I feel like there's always a point in the middle of the season as a Notre Dame fan where you feel so great. Like they got a nice win. Like a couple years ago it was USC. A couple years ago, 2 years ago, I forget what game it was. Last year they beat who they beat last year that was big. But whatever, they got it like a big win in the middle of the season. Okay? And you're like, oh my God, this is great. And then the Brian Kelly like shit show starts. And then they'll go on the road and they'll lose. And that's what I'm afraid which is going to happen this week. Oh my God.
Who do you play this week?
Boston College. So they play Boston College this week. And I think they have a shot to lose. Boston College is
number 1 right now.
Notre Dame is number 2.
Who's won?
The second best team in college football, Alabama. Alabama's the number 1 team. Obviously, they should be. They should be the number 1 team. I think. I just want to make sure. Hold on 1 second. But yeah, I mean, they play Boston College, and Boston College is not a team to mess around with, considering they almost beat Clemson.
That was 2 weeks ago, right?
And they have Boston College's quarterback transferred from Notre Dame.
Really?
Joe Jurkovich. He was a 5-star recruit. He was at Notre Dame, I think, for his first couple of years, and he transfers over because obviously Ian Book took the reins. But and he's been really good for the Eagles. He's been really good for them. And I think this is kind of a trap game for Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's obviously. I personally believe that they're going to win. And a lot of the reason why Notre Dame is where they're at right now, and they haven't played any away games, and they've only played 1 away game.
Yeah.
They haven't dealt with fans, and they haven't dealt with like fans as an away team because of that. The 1 away game they played was Georgia Tech, and they beat the shit out of them because Georgia Tech's awful. I think if they had fans this week in Boston, I think it would be a trap game. They go to North Carolina next week. North Carolina is not a bad team. I think they lost a couple games, but they're still not a bad team. It was going to be Clemson, Notre Dame, and North Carolina as like the 3 best teams in the ACC. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I think Notre Dame, if there's a trap game, if there's a game that defines the seat, if there's a couple games that defines the season for Notre Dame, it will be these 2 weeks. Now, we talk about last week, we talk about the Clemson game, really proved a lot. It proved a lot for Notre Dame. And I know Trevor Lawrence didn't play, but you still had a number 1 team.
Yeah. They're still competitive without it.
And they had a number 1 roster. The quarterback was still
really good.
I mean, he was a 5-star recruit. And that's what you got to expect from a Clemson team. Like, okay, your star is not there, but they have another guy to fill in.
Back them up. They got 5 stars everywhere.
And that's why that's a good win for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to make the argument about Lawrence. You're going to make the argument that he wasn't there and he, and whatever.
But if he was there, different story, but still. I don't think you can't hold that against Notre Dame.
You cannot. And the fact that they won the game and the fact that they took it into overtime and they scored late in the game to tie it up and forced overtime shows a lot. And I think, and personally, I think this is a different, and I say this every year, but considering that they beat Clemson, this is a different Notre Dame team. If you want to be with the Ohio States, with the Alabamas, with the Clemsons, you have to show that you can do it. You have to show that you can win in the playoffs.
You can hang with top tier opponents.
Like if you could be like Oklahoma from a couple years ago or Georgia from a couple years ago, or if you can be in that second to top tier of college football teams, this is the year to do it. So, I mean, it was just a great win. Now, what did you think of it?
I mean, like I said, if Lawrence was there, completely different game. They probably get the doors blown off, but and it's not like the what's his name, DJ, some Hawaiian shit. Played really well. ETN couldn't get anything going ever. They really bottled him up well.
I think it's credit to Notre Dame too.
Yeah,
and I think, and I think by what we saw Saturday, if Lawrence was there, it's a different game. But I don't know. I think the gap, okay, if Lawrence is there, maybe going in, you're like, oh yeah, Notre Dame's going to lose by 30 points. But now, since we saw that, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what more Lawrence. I mean, I guess at the end, obviously, at the end you would probably you miss Lawrence in overtime more than you did in regulation.
And maybe Clemson wins that game by a touchdown as opposed to
losing by a touchdown.
Yeah, and
maybe they don't blow the doors off, but they win.
They win. It's a 2-possession game.
Yeah, probably.
I said Clemson by 10 in the beat before, but then look what happened. So I don't know.
It was a really crazy game.
And also too, I'm very happy that the Big Ten came back. And I'm not home to watch these games. I'm usually working on Saturdays. But what I've been seeing, and I watch these, and I try and watch as much as I can at work. Penn State's horrible. Ohio State's going to run through that conference.
Yeah.
Michigan week 1 goes out and beats Minnesota. And we're like, oh my God, Michigan, it's either Michigan's good or Minnesota's bad. Because Minnesota was a really good team last year. Excuse me. And then Michigan goes out the next week. Loses to Michigan State, who lost to Rutgers the week before. And then Michigan this week loses to Indiana. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to go back to the NFL.
Really? Back to the NFL?
I think he should. I think he has to. Because here's the thing. You go to Michigan. He goes to Michigan 5 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, almost 6 years ago.
Wow.
This is his 6th season. He goes to Michigan 6 years ago.
Hasn't done anything, really.
And your 2 goals are to beat Ohio State and win the Big Ten championship, which therefore would lead to the playoff. He hasn't done either. He hasn't done Ohio State blows him out every year, with the exception of 2016. His best season was in 2016. Mm-hmm. And now they start the season 1-2 with a loss to your rival Michigan State and to an Indiana team, who's actually not that bad. But granted, they beat pretty bad teams. Penn State's not good.
Yeah.
So what do you think he should do?
Harbaugh?
Yeah.
I don't think was Michigan ever really they weren't expected to win national championships before.
They were expected to go to the playoff. They were expected in 2016 and 2018. They were expected to go to the playoff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both those years, their best shot was in 2016.
Yeah.
Because they almost beat Ohio State that year. That was the closest they ever came to beating Ohio State. In 2018, they had a really good team. They had a really good roster. I mean, they had one loss going into the Ohio State game when that was to Notre Dame, who went on to go to the playoff that year. So, and then Ohio State goes and Dwayne Haskins blows their doors off. Mm-hmm. So, those are the 2 closest.
Yeah. I think Harbaugh, Michigan's just not working, I don't think.
It's just not.
Yeah, it's not.
I think after this year, I mean, you gotta do something, because I think Michigan has to do something. And I feel like a lot of it's just the name Harbaugh. And a lot of it's he wants to recreate, the whole Buddy, Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler rivalry, which hasn't been. The Michigan-Ohio State rivalry has been one of the most overrated rivalries in college football. Mm-hmm. In all sports.
Never competitive.
And the sad part is, it can be one of the best games to watch.
Yeah.
And for the last 9 years, it hasn't been.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan hasn't won it since 2011. And I don't think they're going to win anytime soon, considering how elite Ohio State is.
Powerhouse.
And how horrible Michigan's been.
Yeah.
I can talk all day about Michigan. I can talk all day about how overrated that team is. I mean, you give Harbaugh the recruits, you give him a quarterback last year, you give him all this shit. And with the recruits,
Jets.
like Michael, they get top 5 recruiting classes. They're still mediocre. When they could be on Clemson level and Alabama level.
Probably should be.
Yeah. All right.
I think Harbaugh's got to find a new gig.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That time of the podcast, we're on the picks. Picks. All right, where are we at? Week 10. Oh, fuck, dude. Week 10, how about that?
Christ. It's going slow.
Yeah, no, dude. All right, divisional matchup tomorrow night. You have Indianapolis versus Tennessee. I'm taking Tennessee.
I think this is going to be a really good game.
I think it's going to be a really good game, too.
I'm taking Tennessee, though.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think Derrick Henry's going to run their doors off. But I
good defense, but the Indy's weird to me. Like I don't really know how they got to this record.
Neither do I.
They just kind of like got to 5-3, and they didn't look. They haven't looked impressive really against like anyone. Really,
no, they haven't.
And Tennessee has. Tennessee.
Yeah, and I guess in the Colts are probably their biggest threat to
in that division.
Right? Yeah. So that's a big game. But I think Tennessee's winning by 10.
31-24 Tennessee.
I think we have another good game this week. Houston and Cleveland.
I've got Houston upsetting Cleveland that game.
I don't disagree. I think Houston, ever since Cornell took the reins and O'Brien left, I think he's really rallied them. And I think, Watson hasn't played all
better than they were under O'Brien.
Yeah, they're definitely better. And I think they should keep Romeo Cornell if I'm telling the truth, but I don't know. We'll take the Houston Texans. Washington and Detroit. I'm picking Washington. I think Washington's
a lot better than people give them credit for.
Because they're defensive front.
Yeah.
And Detroit's just got their doors blown off, so I mean.
And they've got pretty good pieces on that offense. Terry McLaurin is a very good receiver, and Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick form a pretty good run game.
Yeah, that's not a big game. I'm picking
quarterback. Their O-line's all right, and their defensive front is amazing.
Yeah, so I think I'm picking Washington. Bounce back game. Is this going to be a bounce back game for Tampa Bay? They play Carolina. They go to Carolina.
Yeah, I think they're gonna look to prove that they're still,
And I think Brady's going to
still not to be toyed with, and they're gonna kill Carolina. I think
Brady's going to come to play. He's going to come to play.
Yeah, and
and
McCaffrey's out probably. So
yeah, Jacksonville and Green Bay. I think Green Bay
by a million.
Yeah, we're into the 4 o'clocks. Buffalo and Arizona. I think that's
going to be a really good game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be another good one. But give me Buffalo.
I think I'm taking Arizona.
Okay, all right. I respect that. I feel like every time we do these picks, there's always like these games look really good.
And then they turn out to be.
Yeah, no, I mean some of the time they turn out pretty good. The Chargers in Miami.
Battle of rookies. I'm going Miami. It's just they just know how to win. That's the problem with the Chargers. Nobody knows how to win on that team.
And I think Brian Flores has done a really good job.
He's coach of the year.
Oh yeah,
Tomlin's 8-0, but Flores has been really good.
Yeah. Denver and LA or Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah, I think Vegas is winning that game.
Sucks.
Yeah.
And I think Vegas could be like a dark horse, like mess up a team's playoff chances team.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. The Seahawks and the Rams, I think Seattle's going to come back and win that game.
Yeah, I got Seattle winning. LA's favored in that game.
They are. Oh, really? Well, because they're
why.
playing the game.
I mean,
they're playing the game in SoFi.
Yeah, I guess
that makes a difference, but
I'd still take in Seattle.
Yeah. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. I'm picking Pittsburgh, and then without a Big Ben, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I think they're going to be all right. Shuagab should fill in nicely.
Yeah,
he's been there a while.
San Fran and the Saints. I'm picking the Saints. Like I don't think. I mean,
the Niners just have way too many injuries.
Yeah, no. I mean, they have not.
They've got Thomas back. They've
been a really weird team this year. A really weird team.
They've looked really good and really bad.
I think the Saints are more consistent, and I think that's what that comes down to. Plus, excuse me, you look at how they played last week.
Yeah, I mean, now they got some confidence back. They got their swagger, and I think they're going to roll through the Niners.
Yeah. Sunday Night Football. Don't know why this is a Sunday night game. Baltimore and New England.
I mean, I guess if Brady was there, it'd probably be better, but
yeah, no.
Baltimore.
Yep. Monday Night Football. Minnesota and Chicago.
I got Chicago in a close one. I don't think either of those teams are good, but
yeah, no. And then we round off with the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Football Giants. I think the Giants, I said this, the Giants the last couple weeks have played really good football, no matter how bad they are. And you look at the Eagles. Yeah, they're at full strength. Yeah, they had a bye week. Yeah, they had time to prepare. But they also had time to prepare for the Dallas Cowboys with a bad offensive line. Mm-hmm. And look what happened. The Giants go out. They play their ass off against the Eagles 3 weeks ago now, Tampa Bay, and
football team
Washington. I'm picking the Giants 27-23. I think they're going to be a fiery team. They're going to not be happy about what happened a couple weeks ago. They're not happy about Tampa Bay. They took that out, and they obviously beat Washington. But I think, they are going to come out, and they're going to beat us. I really do. And I have no doubt in my mind. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm dead wrong. I hope I see the Eagles go out and shred them. But you got to remember, and this might sound like a cliche, but it comes down who actually wants to play football Sunday at 1 o'clock in the Meadowlands versus
This is kind of a tough game to pick because we own the Giants, but I feel like it's just.
But I mean, Michael,
I feel like this is going to be the game.
Going in every Giants game, I feel like, oh yeah, this is going to be great, cakewalk, whatever. But now I don't feel that. I don't feel that at all.
I'm going to pick the Eagles, but I'm not confidently.
Yeah.
I'll cautiously pick the Eagles to win.
What's your score?
I think it's going to be low scoring, like 20-14.
Yeah. I'd say 27-23.
I think Miles Sanders has a huge bounce back.
I think he does too. But also, I hate to predict injuries, but I think it's also a game where you can get hurt. And that's where you got to be careful.
The MetLife turf.
Yeah. That's not been good to NFL players.
No.
All right. So you pick 20-14 Eagles. I pick 27-23 Giants. That's a wrap. Let's do it. That's a wrap.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Like and subscribe. And Michael, take care, man.
You too, John.